Hello, welcome. Happy Monday, June 7th. We're excited to be with you today. Welcome everyone. My name is Willie. I'm the Director of Education for Sharkfin Shears. We're joined, of course, by the amazing Montana Schmidt at your Instagram handle is Paints Like Schmidt,
Yes,
which I love. I never forget your Instagram handle because it's one of the best ones I've ever come across. It's amazing.
I always have to do puns off my last name. Gotta embrace it.
Regina, hello. Laura, hi there. Kimberly, welcome. Jessica, Jasmine, Angel, hello. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We have a fun class lined up for you today. Carmela, hello. Welcome. We have the amazing Montana Schmidt with us today. She is a haircut and color artist from Danville, Illinois. She is one of our ambassadors. We're thrilled to have her back with us. She always delivers amazing education. We're going to launch right into the class today. So for those of you who are attending, you have audio only options. So if you have questions, please put it in the chat. We want to make sure that if something's not coming through, if you can't see something, whatever the question may be or the challenge may be, today's class is all about you. So we want to make sure we answer any questions you have. So make sure you throw them in the chat, and I'll send those over to Montana as they come through. With all that being said, Montana, I'm going to turn it over to you. Have fun.
Thank you. All right, guys. Like he said, my name is Montana, and my handle is Paints Like Schmidt on Instagram. I'm from Danville, Illinois, and right now I'm currently at Grateful Head Salon. We're going to do a modern shag today just because they become so popular. I at least do probably 2 to 3 a day. And so let's get started. I always like to start off with the bangs. And weirdly enough, every other haircut, I don't start with the bangs, but for this one, I feel like all the layers and the face framing and the texture revolves around the face. So you can kind of see usually where the hair wants to separate on the top of the head. And so I just take that little tiny section to start with. That way, when they wear their bangs, they don't have to worry about the splitting issue. Because we all know if someone doesn't wear a bang normally and this is their first time, it will want to split on them. So I try to just take that natural section, and it might not be even on both sides, just on this part, and then the rest of it, we will be making sure our sections are nice and clean. So with the center part here, you're going to twist the hair, usually about nose length because the hair does shrink up and because we'll touch it up a little bit. I like to take my shears, go down, and then we'll slowly cut in a downward motion, opening and closing our shears. And it gives you that nice uneven look. And then I really just like to point cut into there just to leave some of those uneven pieces like so. Then we're going to take a slightly higher triangle section than this point. And I do like to clip everything out of my way just so that I don't have to worry about combing it and getting all those pieces just stuck together. In this section, you'll want to be even with the other side.
We just get a side view of that, Montana, when you get a chance, please.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here, I'm just going to tilt her down, make it easier. So it's just a nice, tiny, clean triangle section. So for this section, you want to over direct. Make sure you get one of the shorter pieces in there. And then you're going to take and point cut down. That way it's a nice diagonal. And then same with this side. Do a nice diagonal down here. And we're going to over direct and point cut up. Make sure both sides are even. I feel like I'm a little bit longer on this side. There we go. All right, now we're going to take another steeper triangle section. And I'll give you guys a side view of this one too when I get done sectioning it. Oh, there go our phones. Definitely a Monday. Okay, so these sections, it's a nice steep triangle. And then again, we're going to over direct each side. But for this one, instead of point cutting, I will be slide cutting. So I'm going to slowly open and close my shears as I go down.
Here's a wonderful view of how a swivel or super swivel shear protects the wrist, elbow, and shoulder as well.
It makes your life so much easier. And of course, make sure your sections are always even, so you might have to go back through and clean it up a little bit. Because let's be real, we never get it perfectly even on the first try. Okay, for the next one, this section is going to feel really awkward for people, but trust me, it makes the face frame perfect. You're going to go all the way to the top from the occipital bone. Going to angle all the way down to the front of the ear. And again, since that is a big section, you definitely want to make sure to clip this other part out of your way because you do not want to cut that. Get this out. Okay. So it's going to be a really steep section and a really thick section. So with a section this big, it's easier for me to cut on this side of the head being right-handed. You don't want to over direct this one so far. You want it to lay natural. So you're going to comb it slightly forward. And I like to take it from about here, right where your layer ends. You're going to slide cut down this way. And then same with the section. Don't over direct too much. Go down to where your section ended with your layers and slide cut down. Check if you're even. I'm just a little bit off. I'll just point cut that off. Okay. From here on out, I'm going to drop these two sections that I had. And we're going to take a horizontal section. Usually about in between the top of the head and the ear. Kind of like if you were foiling two true sections on the hair.
Could you just
So it will.
After you take the parting, just give us a side shot of that, please.
Oh yeah, totally. Then I like to clip this bottom down so I don't accidentally grab it. So it'll look like this from this side.
Thank you.
And then same with this other side. And again, usually the hair will want to part that way if you kind of lift it up. Anytime you lift the hair slightly up, you can kind of see where it wants to split. So normally you'll want to go off of that. From here on out, I like to start at the top, which is the thin slice going from the back to the front of your section. I like to over direct this forward from my longest point from our layers and just cut that off. And I kind of like move my shears a little bit as I do that, just to create a little bit more texture and a little bit more unevenness, because with shags, you don't want them perfectly even. You want them to be able to move. And it gives you that nice textured feeling, without having to use your thinning shears too much. So again, slide forward.
Montana, if you could move the mannequin maybe 1 foot to 2 foot back from the camera, yeah. Wonderful. Thank you.
That better? Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're going to keep going lower with your sections, but you still want to bring it up to where that first section was. Over direct forward. And again, slide cut. And again, bring it up, over direct it towards your first section, then over direct it forwards and slide cut.
So you're still working above the horizontal section you took off the side, correct?
I am.
Okay.
It seems like a big section to layer, but it makes all the difference, because with shags, they're kind of on purpose, not super blended, if that makes sense. Just to get that more thicker layered look on top with the slightly getting thinner towards the bottom. Now that that section's done, we are going to start the other side. If you feel comfortable doing the other side over here, that's perfectly fine. I like to still stand on this side just for the fact of being right-handed, because it's really hard to slide cut underneath that way for me. But I know some people that do it that way. But either way, as long as you're still over directing it towards your top section, you are fine. Then I like to take a little bit of that last section on this side, just to make sure I get even. And again, I'm going to slide cut. And then with these cuts, I do warn my clients that a bunch of hair is going to be in their face. So it is natural.
Is this a technique you learned from taking another class, or is this something you came up with yourself?
Kind of both. So I've taken a lot of shag classes and I've combined different methods just based on how their techniques would turn out. Some of them I didn't like how heavy it was on top. And then some of them just seemed to be more like a layered look to me. So I know whenever I've gotten a shag, I've always cut my hair by myself. I don't let anybody else cut my hair, as weird as that sounds. And so I've kind of created this shag specifically for my hair when I do a shag. And you'll notice once you get to the bottom of your section, there'll be less hair that you cut off, and that's perfect. That just means it's gonna just have that just enough good of blend, but still that nice choppiness for the rest of your section on the top layers.
I could see this technique working wonderfully with a texture shear too, like a 20.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah,
I
like
like to go through at the end and really heavily texture it. Just sometimes with the texture shears cutting with it, it can get pretty long and take up a lot of time. So I do like to do most of it without the texture shears. And then next, we're going to take our sections that we kind of clipped out on the way down here. And then these are going to be more similar to your actual basic layer, just to blend in the bottoms here. We're going to take vertical sections. I don't know if you can see that, like that. Just to kind of check to see how these front layers blend, especially with that bottom. And it'll just kind of point cut these little pieces left over. Leaving some of them longer is okay, just to add more texture as well. But it should already be somewhat blended from those top layered sections. Next, we are going to start our back sections. With the back sections, that way it blends with the front, because I still like to clip everything out. I do take a small slice from our current section as a guide, and I like to clip everything else out of my way. That way I don't accidentally cut something from there. And I'll turn her around for that part, obviously. So the back, I do like to kind of part down the middle just so I can get a basic guide and work my way from the middle out. Doesn't have to be perfect because pretty much back here, it's going to be like an even cut, kind of a combination from your long layered cut and your basic uniform cut where everything's the same. So we're going to take a small slice here around the natural curve of the head. Flip that out of my way so I don't accidentally grab it. You're going to pull this out. Find your section here. And then clip it off, but leaving those longer pieces on the bottom. Would it be easier if I put her slightly to the side so they can see a little bit better? Or is that okay?
I'll let the attendees answer that. So one moment.
Okay.
It's a pretty good view because you're just over, you're pulling everything straight towards the camera. So that's,
Okay.
so it's
Pretty good then. Okay.
a couple of them say yes. So feel free to rotate her a little bit just so they can see where you are on the head. Perfect.
And when you're pulling it out, you want it to pull it out straight from where it's naturally laying. You don't want to over direct any of these. And again, when you're taking these slices, the hair kind of parts itself on where you can comb down. So it makes it quite easy to find your section. And if you have those longer pieces fall out, let them fall out, because you want it to kind of be piecey down there anyway. All right, now we're going to start our other side. So I'm going to spin her a little bit.
Looks great, Montana. Thank you.
Problem. And then for this, I am going to leave this down because that's already cut, so I can use it as my guide. So again, I could over direct it towards me, but I don't want to. I want it to be straight out from where it lays. Those off.
So really, once we hit the back, we're just kind of repeating the same process over and over, taking or vertical subsections, pulling everything straight out from where it lives.
Yes. And then obviously on the bottom, it's not blunt, but with a shag, you don't want it blunt. You want it kind of piecey and textured looking. So then at the same time, you do want to check to make sure it's relatively close to the same length. But if you get a blunt cut, then you're kind of defeating the purpose of all this texture. So you want to leave that. If you're anal like me, you definitely want to cut it. So I have to stop myself. Okay, face her back front. So now we're going to kind of touch up little tweaks, add more texture where we feel like we need to add more texture. And then if you're like me too, I like to make sure that my back section did start clean with my first section up here. Just to double check. Everything looks good. And then if they feel like after this point, because obviously the hair's dried a little bit, that they want the bang shorter, this is the chance to use your texture shears to kind of slowly make it shorter while maintaining texture. So you'll take that little triangle piece to start, of course. And then I like to start from the bottom up where you over direct and slowly take your texture shears and open and close until you like where those bangs are at. And I like that better. So we're going to keep that there. Same with your little triangle section here, because now we have to blend that. So you're going to start at this angle. You're going to slowly open and close your texture shears, adding texture while taking off some length. And you can just see how much better that swoops. So I like that a lot better. But sometimes you can't tell with bangs how they're going to lay until they're dry. So that's kind of why I do them first too, just so we're not waiting forever and playing the waiting game to feel like, oh, okay, it's ready now. And she's thicker on this side. And normally, you know, people do have a thicker side than the other. So it is good to see that I'm having to thin this one out a little bit more than that other side. It's because nobody's hair is actually uniform. And then a lot of my clients on either side, just from parting to the side, because this is not a side part type of cut. They can part it on the side a little bit, but you won't get that same natural texture effect where it will want to swoop and wave on its own.
I think that's such a great thing to touch on is, you know, if you have a guest who has a really, you know, their part is really off center to the side, this is obviously a doable haircut, but it's going to change the whole effect around the face.
Yes, they will have to, you know, learn how to work with it a little bit differently and part it a little bit differently. And I always do warn my clients about that when they show me a picture of a shag, that it's not going to be the same type of maintenance as what they're used to and not the same morning routine. And it's always good to give your clients that heads up. They do appreciate it.
You want to let them know before it's an issue, not after.
Yes. So then they're calling me and they're like, it won't lay right. I'm like, well, it's cut differently. So it's just easier to get that out of the way first. And again, she's still thicker here. So at this point, I will take these sections a little bit higher. I'm going to start from the underneath, which is going to seem weird, but she needs to get that out of there. And I start from the underneath so I don't affect the layers on top. And I'm not taking all of it out. I'm still using my texture shears. And you're almost like slide cutting from the underneath instead, adding some movement there.
We have an amazing class coming up next month with me, yours truly, where we're going to touch on the 5 different texture shears that we have in our family. So if you've always wondered why certain texture shears and what to use them for, it'll be an amazing class to sign up for. It'll be on a Monday. It'll be free.
Okay. See, I'm liking how that's a little bit more textured and thinner on the face, so I'm not gonna go any wider. At this point though, I am gonna take this up. And on the very ends here, I'm just gonna do 2 little pieces. I don't like to texture too close to the head, just because then when it starts growing out, you got those pokey straight things going on up here and it's not attractive. So you'll find out, you'll get a lot of fixes from people texturizing too close to the scalp.
You usually talk about the bend point of the hair. Like there's a bend point where if you pick up a section and kind of push it towards the head, the hair will bend. Generally speaking, don't texturize below that. That way you don't get those little springy pieces Montana's talking about.
Yes, they're gross. We don't like them. And you can see all that texture and movement within her now. I do like how short that is, because you can see how that's going to want to flip this way. At this point, obviously she's a mannequin. She keeps drying on me. So I would re-wet her. And for a shag, I do like to dry the bangs first, just to really get it going that way. And I always advise my clients who are at home, when it's still wet, when they get out of the shower, to comb their bangs straight down and let it air dry a little bit that way so it will not split. And then to blow dry them first, just to get a nice shape to them. And if they want to split it, it's still a cute split with a nice little curtain thing. It's kind of like a versatile type of cut.
When the hair is damp and it's already doing what you want and you haven't put a round brush to it or any product in it, you know you've done a good job. You want to see that shape in there before you ever touch it with product or heat. Otherwise, you're just going to work your rear end off trying to put a shape in there when we should have put the shape in with a pair of scissors.
Exactly. So if you're like me, I air dry my hair. I'm a bad example of a hairdresser. I do not style my hair. I just let it do its thing. And you will notice in different weather too, it wants to lay differently. My bangs are so used to being there that they lay straight down. They don't care. But for a cut like this, my hair is kind of perfect just for the fact that it does get that natural wave and texture in there. But we are done. She is looking fabulous.
Fantastic job, man, Montana. If anyone's watching this and you want to practice, I would encourage you to try to practice on a mannequin that has some texture to the hair. So you would have, you would get some same result as you would on a guest who would be asking for this haircut.
Yes, this is my most textured mannequin I had, and that's why I kind of used her so that you can see how it wants to move. This is also a really good cut for wavy hair. If they're wanting something a little bit more fun and they feel like they can't ever do anything with their hair, this is where it's like the on-purpose messy is a good thing with this kind of cut.
Fantastic class, Montana. For everyone watching, if you're a school and you're watching this and there's multiple students, we're going to give away a set of shears today. So all you have to do to enter into that is email me at Willie, WILLY at sharkfinshears.com. And we're going to, you'll be entered to win a new set of shears. Montana, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Coming on board. We'll have Montana back in a few weeks, right? Or maybe a month.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a mid-length, the it girl cut is what I call it. It's kind of like the beachy mid-length textured cut. It's very popular right now too, for especially a lot of my blondes. And a lot of my thick haired girls actually really like it too, because they seem to think when they get layers, it's too choppy looking no matter what. And so it's nice to keep that blunt appearance, but then you get the nice texture going on.
Fantastic. Again, Montana, your classes are always great. I always learn something myself. Everyone who joined in, thank you for taking time out of your Monday to pop on and check out some education. If you have any suggestions on something you would like to see us do in the future, we do color, style, cutting. It's not just hair cutting classes. So we would like to accommodate however we can. If you have any recommendations, again, you can email me at that same address and we'll check it out.
And I saw the blow drying comment. I will be posting a picture on my Instagram for the end result.
Awesome. Again, thank you everyone for joining us, Montana. A big thank you as always for being a huge supporter of our weekly education on Mondays.
Oh, no problem. I've been using shark fins for 10 years and I will never go back. That's actually been the first year I bought after school.
Awesome. Thank
and
you.
I'm now up to 6 pairs. So
6 pairs, soon to be
I do have 6 pairs.
soon to be 7 because I just sent her another.
Soon to be 7.
Everybody have a great day. Happy Monday. Be safe. Stay hydrated. Remember, be nice. It's nice to be nice. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.